Happy New Year to everybody. And I hope you had a great holiday season and hope everything went swimmingly and safely for you all. Welcome back to Collinsport After Dark. Before we get started, I'd like to thank some people. In particular, I'd like to thank Danielle Galerter, aka Penny Dreadful of Terror at Collinwood, for generously hosting me on her podcast and treating me like an honored guest in her home. It meant a lot to me, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that. Also, in terms of the inspiration for this show and continued inspiration and entertainment and information, Rachel Pulliam from Dark Paradise, lovely little podcast. You should check it out. Christina and Kara from Between the Shadows. Always interesting to hear what they have to say about their interpretations of various storylines and character portrayals. Very good stuff. And of course, Jewel T. Sains of Resident of Collinwood and his honored guests. Gordon and Patrick are our frequent guests. Bobby Lugosi's on the show a lot. Always interesting, always entertaining, and always insightful as well. So, having got that out of the way, I hope you enjoy episode 3 of Collinsport After Dark. You say Patuffy, I say Patuffy, let's call the whole thing off. Oh, excuse me, and allow me to introduce myself. I am Victor Ben Fibbin, a nobleman. Excuse my voice. I was punched in the throat for going on too much about, well, the Earl of Hampshire, as usual. But, oh, to heck with it. Count Andreas Patofi at your service. I hope that you will enjoy the forthcoming show, episode 3 of Collinsport After Dark. Tonight's episode will be about certain promotional material set forth in 1968 and 1969 by Dan Curtis Productions in the promotion of Dark Shadows. Yes, yes. In the meantime, let me share with you a wonderful discovery that my lovely assistant, Aristide, has brought to me. This lovely box. Now, it doesn't quite look like the beautiful inlaid dome box of Moorish origins that was probably made in Toledo in Spain, but as a matter of fact, it says down here Toledo, Ohio. Oh well, it's the contents that counts. Here we are. Ooh, there's something in here. Yes, there it is. Oh, lovely. Let me bring it out. It's a lovely hand. What? Ben Cooper Manufacturing? It's a rubber hand. Aristide, you fool! Well, the ring appears to be genuine, so I guess it's not a total loss. Oh well. If at first you don't succeed, beat the living heck out of your assistant. Well, enough of that. Let's roll the intro.
This is an ABC color presentation.
Welcome to Collinsport After Dark. with me, Alan Gallant. And a whole host of things that go bump in the night. Who was that guy? Looked like some kind of pimp from Logan's Pot.
I am waiting for you. You will leave the house and come to me now. You will know the way. I am waiting.
Did you just hear what I heard? I didn't think I was going crazy. That's an invitation I think I'm going to have to just put off for a while. Sounded a little off. Anyway, welcome to episode 3 of Collinsport After Dark. Here we are again in the Christopher Jennings Memorial Hotel Room here at the Collinsport Inn. And today we're going to talk about a couple of promotional materials from 1968 into 1969. So, one of the promotional materials I have is a lovely little repro. Okay, this isn't the real thing, but it's kind of made to be the real thing. The only thing real about it is this stamp, 6-cent stamp from 1968. Okay, this promotional material was put out by ABC on, it's hard to read there, but it's January 1st, 1968. Okay, and this is a facsimile of the actual one that would have gone out with the address that would have been here. Now, what was inside this had to do very much with the exploding fan base of young people for Dark Shadows in 1967 and 1968. ABC and Dan Curtis Productions had developed a large mailing list, and they didn't quite know what to do with it. They knew that they wanted to send out some kind of mailing for all the fans because they'd been so great about sending stuff in, but they couldn't do individual things. Jonathan Frid or any of the other stars couldn't just spend all their time writing letters, and it just wasn't practical. So what they did instead in late 1967 to put out on January 1st, 1968, is they put this lovely little letter out. And if you see it there, you can see that it's got a lovely picture of Jonathan Frid as Barnabas at the bottom, a little facsimile signature right there. And the letter reads, "From Dark Shadows, I send you greetings and warm appreciation for your letters. It is always gratifying to be reminded that there is a very real and critical audience on the other side of the studio camera. Although I must address myself to you collectively, I still manage to read and enjoy every piece of mail I receive. I have been deeply touched. I'm only sorry that my schedule has not allowed time to respond in the same individual manner. Be assured, however, that since your letters have been directly responsible for my continued appearance on the show, your special requests will be taken care of in the near future. May I take this opportunity to wish you happiness in the new year." So this is what a lot of fans got, or at least some fans got, looking forward to 1968. Pretty cool that he talks about how your special requests will be taken care of in the near future, because our second promotion really sort of falls into that category, and also is a way to sort of mass mail the young fans of the show and help promote it and fire up more enthusiasm about it. Now, also in this lovely little mailer, a fan would get a nice little picture, which was taken on episode 331. There's a massive photo shoot on that day. And the only difference is this particular picture, since it is a facsimile, doesn't have his facsimile autograph on it. That helps basically separate it from the real thing. So know that I just kind of made this up from basic various pictures that I found, photographs on the net, and so on, just for a kind of a fun thing to do. So That's promo number one. Okay, put that away. Now, promo number two happened late in 1968 and was offered from late 1968 going into 1969. And this is the flyer that came off of probably an expanded mailing list by late 1968 from targeted at young fans all over the country. This is from the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club, and that was a creation of um, Dan Curtis Productions, ABC TV, and Dark Shadows, using an outfit out of, as you can see here, Beverly Hills, California, 90210. Hope that doesn't give you too many bad memories about Johnny Depp. Okay. Well, you open this up, look at this. Had that nice picture from episode 589 of the staircase, where you had a huge amount of the cast, both those that were in that episode that day and some that were not. An interesting thing also is they were trying to promote this goofy phrase to promote Jonathan Frid. So Frid is fangier, obviously making reference to the vampire. Now, ironically, when this came out, of course, Frid was not a vampire on the show as Barnabas Collins, but he was about to be in 1969. So this little flyer opened up, and you had a cool little greeting in there. It says, "Dear fan, thank you for writing to the Dark Shadow show and cast." So this is how I figured out it was a mailing list from ABC TV, Dark Shadows. "Welcome to the land of the living dead." Now that's definitely something, a catchphrase out of the show. "We have been killed with requests for items and photos and things from the show. So by bloodthirsty demand, here they are. We know you will want to join our eerie Dark Shadows Vampire Club and be part of the new ghoul movement. Maybe you'd rather have vampire stickers to put on your things, or how about a ghoul pad for sending weird notes to your friends? Whether you select something or not, we are pleased to have your blood with Dark Shadows. Yours in the neck, Joanne Ellery, Ghoul Master." I only assume that she was probably in charge of this whole project from some company out there in Los Angeles that had taken it on as a promotional sort of thing, a marketing tool for ABC, and at the same time, a cool thing for the kids. So we've got various things that we'll go over here. I'll do one of my rundowns like I did with the card set in episode 2, and then we'll go back and sort of look at each thing and go through with descriptions of each thing. So this thing had 5 kits, A, B, C, D, and E kits. And one of the kits was Dark Shadows Calendar of the Dead, which you see right over here, and a little bookmark, also known as a Ghoul mark, and that was for $2. You see in the little bat there, plus 25 cents for rush handling. And then down here, a little bit lower, you see kits C, because the ghoul mark's part of kit B, and kit C, only $2.50 for kit C, and it contained a whole bunch of photographs and descriptions of actors and so on and so forth, and that was pretty cool too. Then kit D, which is right there, had stamps and had cutouts that said Frid is Fangier and Ghoul Club, as you can see there. And also they had pre-gummed stamps of Jonathan Frid in character as Barnabas Collins. Then there's the Ghoul Pad. I've got one of them. There were actually 2 in that kit, and that was $2, and the stamps and everything were $2.50. Now, if you get all 5 kits, all 5, you get a special bonus. It only costs you $10 plus rush handling. That's a lot of money in 1968-69. $10. Good luck getting that as an allowance for a quick purchase. But what happened was this special treat that you were going to get for all of the kids was a personal message from Jonathan Frid. This is a minor grail item. It's not easily found. It's ridiculously overpriced on eBay when it shows up. I was fortunate enough to get it 3 or 4 years ago, and I got a really good price on it. But this is not easy to find. And interestingly enough, it's a one-sided record. It's a 33 RPM. I will later on in the show play the entirety of this greeting. On the other side, nothing. Makes a nice mirror. Anyway, I'll also put an address because it's up on YouTube as well. You can get the whole thing. If you haven't heard it already, it's kind of fun. It's nothing hugely earth-shattering, but it's just kind of cool. And speaking of cool, these kits run the gamut from cool to cheese. Of course, it's Dark Shadows cheese, so it's delicious. For instance, the ghoul pad, the ghoul marks. These are facsimiles. Most everything else I own is real, including that flyer that you just saw. That is a real flyer that I purchased at auction. Let's see some of the other cool stuff. Oh, yes. One of the kits includes a bunch of full color so-called postcards. These smaller postcards here. Okay, and these are 3x5s. And this is the famous picture on the staircase. It was taken during episode 589, where they had a whole bunch of actors in the show, plus they had a whole bunch of actors on site to help with that. Let's see, and then there's Julia and Barnabas. Barnabas is comforting her because she's been bitten by Tom. And there's Barnabas and Victoria having a discussion. I'm sure Barnabas is trying to bamboozle her in some way to protect her. That's how it kind of went those days. Then here is, of course, leading into the whole Tom Jennings confrontation. There's Willie getting upset, getting ready to peel out of there, and Barnabas opening the coffin of Tom Jennings. And then there's Barnabas from around that era. He's looking rather concerned. He's deep in thought. And finally, the classic blood moon pose of Barnabas from around episode 276. I figure out that this is one of the early promotional photo shoots here with the moon and so on. So that's cool. Those are part of the kits. Also, some of the kits have photographs in them. Okay, as you can see, these are pretty cool. All right. And this particular kit with the photos in it also had biographies of several of the actors, including Jonathan Frid and Donald Briscoe and another Jonathan Frid biography rather than his resume. And let's see, who else do I have in here? These are original, by the way. They're totally original. Laura Parker, our dear departed Laura. And Joan Bennett. She gets a page. She should. And Alexandra. At the time, she was already referred to as Isles because she had been married in 1967 to Philip Isles. And Robert Rodin, who we knew as Robert Tremas later. And finally, another item that I actually have on my own. One of the fabulous Dark Shadows ghoul pads. There were 2 of them. This one actually says ghoul pad on it. The other one doesn't. I don't think. This one has the coolest, most ghoulish drawing on it. A little cheese and a little cool. Oh, right there. These ghoul pads were also supplied to the studio. Cool. All right, so first things first, let's go through a photographic run through with hopefully a little cheesy music in the background of the various parts that we've gone over plus more. Roll that film. So there you have a little overview of what I would like to go into a little bit more detail about. And by detail, I mean the various episodes that certain select pieces from these promotional materials came from, so that gives us a sort of a reference point when we're watching the show as to where they extracted some of this photography from. And also, just as a sort of a recap, the happenstance of this promotional material, of course, all centers around the introduction of Jonathan Frid as Barnabas Collins in April of '67. So by June and July of '67, the ratings started to take off. Around the same time, I'm sure that there were a lot of fan mail coming in. And as the summer progressed, with all the kids home, they got that many more fans of the show sort of hooked, if you would, younger fans that were home on summer vacation. So by the fall, how do we continue to stimulate this audience now that a good chunk of them are going back to school? Well, obviously they needed to promote it outside of the show itself, keep it a high profile. So this is about the time you started seeing late '67 is the time you start seeing the first articles in the New York Times, a few movie and TV magazines, that sort of thing that was starting to foster a familiarity or curiosity, at least, about the show. So by the Christmas season of 1967, we're going to have a push through the 1795 storyline. We're going to wrap that up in a few months and go back to what will then be 1968. So we want those kids out there in particular to be excited about the show as more changes start to happen. So the first thing again was the letter that was sent out using the mailing list from all of the fan mail that had been coming in up to that point. I would say from about May of 1967, probably through October of 1967. And they had these big, huge mailing lists, and they said, let's do something with this. And so they had the little facsimile letter from Jonathan Frid and the photograph with the facsimile autograph. And that was kind of a first step, if you will. Now, obviously, the Dark Shadows paperbacks were out, and the aforementioned magazine interest started to slowly develop. Obviously, 1968 was when that sort of thing just exploded. So let's begin with the first letter that went out and was postmarked around the first of the year, 1968. Meaning it was prepared sometime in late 1967. And we'll go on from there, and we'll move into the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club materials and some of the extractions of photographs and what episodes that sort of thing was coming from and what the intention of that was going to be. Because by the time we get to that point, which is late 1968 now, and by this time 16 magazine has picked up the show. Afternoon Television magazine is its inaugural issues fully cover Dark Shadows. It's almost as if Dark Shadows was the reason for creating the magazine in the first place. As much coverage as they got in those early through 1969, actually, especially. So all of that's happening in 1968, and the real explosion of merchandising starts to happen. The Whitman Company produces a game, produces the Magic Slates. Gold Key, late in 1968, starts producing the comic book, and so on. And of course, the gum card series, the pink one that I covered in my second episode, also comes out in late 1968. But let's go back to late 1967, and let's begin. So here we see not a facsimile, but the genuine article the actual letter and photograph and envelope that was issued around New Year's Day, 1968. This particular example actually is postmarked on New Year's Day, 1968. Includes the quote-unquote personal letter from Jonathan Frid and a facsimile autographed small photograph. And the small photograph is from episode 331, which was taped on September 21st, 1967, and aired on October 2nd, 1967. And we'll have a little clip from that later on in the show. There's an interesting scenario that actually matches up to one of the photographs in the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club materials. Now, if you notice in the quote personalized unquote letter from Jonathan Frid, and that is a genuine facsimile of his autograph. I don't know about the hand printing, if that's him or not. Likely not, but the signature is definitely a facsimile of his genuine signature. This picture that you're seeing here is interesting in that it actually also comes from an episode. It comes from episode 305, taped on August 11th, 1967, and aired on August 25th, 1967. This is the episode in which Barnabas Collins feels suspicious of Julia's treatments of him because he's feeling weakened, and he feels as though he cannot be weak at this particular time. Let's take a look at a quick clip.
My time like that?
But to fail in this would be to fail totally.
No, we're already beyond that point. Things have begun to happen, good things. The facts bear it out.
But how can I be sure of your facts?
Because of the changes in you, the sensations you're experiencing. I've altered the cellular structure of your blood cells. You're feeling it through your entire circulatory system. This is a strong indication that the experiments are succeeding. Oh, I only wish you could appreciate what I've accomplished.
I wish I could too.
Everything I believe is at stake.
So is your life, Doctor. So is your life.
Now here is the actual photograph that reproduction on the letter came from, which was taken during episode 305. You can see him standing there in front of his own portrait. The effectiveness of this particular package can be seen in the familiar materials that we're dealing with from episodes 305 and episode 331, with Barnabas in his cloak and the picture of Barnabas with his rather sallow skin and heavy makeup on the letter itself. Kids must have eaten this up when they received it after sending off their letter. Now let's move on to the other promotional material package that we were discussing earlier, which is the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club kits. So what I would like to do with this kit analysis is to start and go through each kit one at a time, kits A, B, C, D, and E, and analyze each one and see what we come up with. Woohoo! Look at this introductory little slice of life. First of all, we get the welcome by Joanne Ellery, our ghoul master, and then it's here it is, the photo package of the year, a full color 5x7-inch photo of Jonathan Frid and a full color 5x7 photo of Barnabas Collins. A group of color photos that include all the cast members plus 4x5 black and white glossy photos of special action shots. If you act now, you will also receive a personal biography of 6 of the cast members, including Jonathan Frid, Lara Parker, Alexandra Moltke, and others, all for only $2. Add 25 cents for rush handling. For those of you who might not be aware, the 25-cent rush handling charge, it was a bit of a scam to separate the kids from another quarter. So let's start with those 5x7 full color photos of Jonathan Barnabas Frid, shall we? The one we're looking at here comes from episode 570, which was taped on August 23rd, 1968, and aired on August 30th, 1968. This was part of the climax of the big Tom Jennings vampire storyline. And here's our second full color 5x7. And here we see Jonathan Frid in full Barnabas drag with the fangs and the cane and the bat in the background. This is from episode 276, taped on June 29th, 1967, and aired on July 17th, 1967. Let's take a look at a short clip from that episode.
You killed him.
How could I let him live? He knew too much.
He's dead. Jason's dead.
What was he doing down here?
I had to bring him here.
You brought him here?
I had to, Barnabas.
Why?
Well, he saw the jewels. He was prowling around outside last night. He saw them through the window. He was crazy to have them.
Go on.
Well, he broke into the house this afternoon while I was out. When I came back, he was still here. He made me tell him where they were. He would have killed me if I hadn't.
You know I'm vulnerable here before the sun goes down, and yet you brought him here.
The sun was about to set.
I should punish you, Willie.
No, Barnabas.
Your job is to guard me, and you placed me in danger.
I couldn't help it. He made me bring him here. He'd have killed me if I hadn't.
If you betray me again, you'll meet a far worse punishment. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'll deal with you later. The job at hand is how to dispose of McGuire's body.
Ah, yes, poor Jason. Oh, well. Let's go on to the 4x6 cards. And this first group shot is familiar to most of us. It first shot in episode 589, which was taped on September 19th, 1968, and aired on September 26th, 1968. This shot includes people that were in the episode, as well as some people that were probably there for a read. It does not include the entire cast as advertised. Of course, you don't see Victoria Winters there. Nor do we see Elizabeth Collins Stoddard or Mrs. Johnson, among other characters. Here's a brief clip from episode 589.
Why did Carolyn have to go away tonight of all nights? We can't complete the experiment without her. Adam said he would only accept Carolyn as the life force for his mate, and without her, he's already tried to kill Vicky. When he finds out what's happened, he will kill her. How will I stop him? How?
Hello, Barnabas.
This 4x6 shot of Barnabas comforting Julia after she's been bitten and is in quite a tizzy comes also from episode 570, which is taped on the 23rd of August, 1968. And here's a little bit of a clip from that scene.
Barnabas! Oh, what happened?
She's dead.
Is she Barnabas?
Look, she's dead.
No, she's not dead, but almost.
I'll get a doctor.
No.
It's too late for a doctor.
Where's it, Barnabas? Is she gonna die?
I don't know, but you better get Josette's room ready now.
You're lying to me.
Please, Elizabeth.
Dead.
Willie.
You can't keep that from me.
Willie, I think you better take Mrs. Stoddard upstairs first. Willie will look after you. Tomorrow morning we will decide what to do. The front room.
Death. It follows me wherever I go.
She is not dead now. No, go along with Willie. Take Mrs. Stoddard upstairs. I'll stay here with Julia. Julia. Julia, are you all right? It's Barnabas.
Barnabas.
No, don't. Stay with me, Julia. Julia.
He calls to me, and I must go.
Yes, I know, Julia. Julia.
I'm going to die.
Julia.
I know it. Oh, Barnabas.
Rest. Rest, please.
I can't. I can't.
Julia. I'm going to help you. I can. I will. I swear I will.
Well, here's another little 4x6 postcard featuring Willie and Barnabas from episode 570. And what the heck? Let's take a look at another little clip from this scene.
Barnabas, it's not light yet.
Be quiet.
Barnabas, we're taking an awful chance. Empty. Barnabas, he's gonna come back any minute. We gotta get out of here. I ain't staying here.
Willie.
I ain't staying.
You. There's no time. It's getting light. Just a moment. That's all you have. The lights! The lights! You're wasting your time with me!
Always loved that scene. What a cliffhanger. And now we're looking at episode 490, and here's Vicky and Barnabas sitting in Dr. Lang's living area. This was taped on May 6, 1968, and aired on May 10th, 1968. And for all you Vicky fans, here's a short clip from that episode.
Vicky.
Hello, Barnabas. May I come in?
Yes, of course. What brings you here at this hour?
When I got your note yesterday, I thought you'd already left. But Mrs. Johnson just told me you were still here.
Yes, I was delayed. I planned to leave sometime tonight.
Why, Barnabas?
Well, I believe I explained it in the note.
No, you didn't. Your note was a little vague and sad.
Sad?
Yes. I had the feeling that you were saying goodbye to me forever.
Oh, no, Vicky, that's not true, but...
What?
Well, it's just that I'm not sure when. I don't know whether you will understand this, but even though I'm gone, I want you to know that I will still be very close to you.
How is that possible?
Well, Vicky, you of all people should know that almost anything is possible.
Yes, but...
Of course, I will always be with you in spirit, but there is another way. It's just possible that you may feel my presence through my cousin.
The one that you mentioned in the note?
Yes, he's from England. He should be arriving within the next few days.
Won't he be very upset when he finds out that you've already left?
No, I wrote him and told him that it would be impossible for me to be here when he arrives, and I'm sure he'll understand.
8 kids, there's more. The upper left-hand photo here in this 4-photo set depicts old Barnabas from episode 350, Menacing Carolyn, taped on October 23rd, 1967, aired October 27th, 1967. And speaking of menace, the upper right-hand corner is a shot from episode 331, taped on September 21st, 1967, aired on October 2nd, 1967, where Barnabas is menacing poor David. And here's a clip from that episode.
Roger, what a pleasant surprise.
Hello, Barnabas. May I speak with you for a moment?
Of course. Come in.
And getting back to this 4-square photograph in the lower left and right, we see Tom Jennings and Barnabas Collins battling each other, again from episode 570, in the scene that we saw earlier in this podcast. There's more, lords and ladies. Kit A also includes 6 different biographies, including Jonathan Frid's resume, which is his Actors Equity and AFTRA, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists resume. And that's what you see here. And then there's a biographical sketch of Jonathan talking about his rise to fame and how that has come about. And then Donald Briscoe, who was relatively new to television at this point, and talks about a bit of his acting career through its various phases. Then there's Laura Parker, and there's a lot of theater on hers, of course. I think that if you sort of stop, you should be able to read this if you have a large enough screen. I'm not going to go through each and every one. This is Joan Bennett's, and of course there's a ton of Hollywood on Joan Bennett's little biography / resume here as well. And we all know that Joan was hired to kind of get things off the ground. Here's Alexandra Isles, otherwise known as Alexandra Moltke, and this is more of a biography of her life, since she had just gotten started acting at this point. And then Robert Rodan, who has both Los Angeles and New York stage credits and some television in L.A. And that is Kit A. Oh boy, we're in for a special treat with Kit B of the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club. Let me read it. Are you ready for the 1969 Calendar of the Dead? A 13-month calendar with a different Dark Shadows photo on each page. Opens to a full 10 by 16-inch size. You'll dig the vampire holidays, the special ghoul days, blood moons, and all the weird and mystic holidays of the living dead. Plus, a ghoul mark for books with Barnabas in a coffin, all for only $2. Plus 25 cents for rush handling, of course. Okay, let's take a look at this calendar of the dead, shall we? Okay, now, here's the cover of our estimable Dark Shadows calendar of the dead. Let me read it for you. It's probably difficult for you to read. Know you that it is better to stay in bed than be taken by the demons of the dark. Such creatures do exist, being most active in the dark of night, drawn by the darkness within. Spirits of this nature will descend upon any of the many unwary. Governed by the laws of the lunar cycle, the full moon illuminates their darkest infamies. But at no time are you totally safe should your resistance drop. Here is your calendar for the coming year. Consult it to remain aware of the supernatural forces surrounding you here. This knowledge may change your earthly existence. And our spooky calendar begins with December of 1968, and the picture is of Barnabas from a famous photo shoot that was held during episode 465 during the taping, and that was taped on the 1st of April Fool's 1968, and was aired on the 5th of April 1968. There are some dates that are labeled on this calendar, and on this December 1968 version, the 7th of December is the Gravediggers Convention, the 19th of December is Crypt Kickers Dance, and the 31st is, of course, New Year's Eve. And now here's an iconic clip from episode 465 in which Barnabas attempts to spirit Vicky away to make her his bride. But fate has other plans.
You're very quiet, Barnabas.
I'm beginning to have second thoughts about what we're doing.
About going away together?
Of course not. I'm glad of that. Though I'm talking about going to the mausoleum. I think I was mistaken to indulge you in your whim.
It's not a whim. It's something very important to me.
Nevertheless, my instinct tells me it's all wrong.
You were all for it when we left Collinwood.
Well, I've changed my mind. I'm convinced that you won't find what you're looking for.
How can we know unless we go there and see?
Well, I'm also concerned about the time.
It won't take long.
We must be on the ship and settle before the sun rises.
There's plenty of time.
Vicky?
Yes?
You didn't tell me who Peter is.
His full name was Peter Bradford.
Was?
He was very kind to me. He defended me in my trial.
Trial?
I was convicted of witchcraft and found guilty. He helped me to escape from jail.
And that's how you managed to be hiding in the mausoleum?
Yes.
Well, then I can only make one conclusion. That the experience you had was only a dream, nothing more.
Why?
Well, because if there was a secret room in the mausoleum, you wouldn't have known about it.
But I didn't know about it.
Then how did you find out?
From Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes showed you a secret room.
Yes. He was a very kind, gentle man.
Yes.
I was glad to hear Professor Stokes say that things turned out so well for him.
Shouldn't we be nearing the cemetery by now?
It's just around the corner.
What's that up ahead? Someone's stepping out into the road.
Barnabas, it's Peter Bradford.
And now we're into 1969 with the January and February cover sheet for 1969, and we see a photograph of Dr. Lang and a nurse at Collinsport Hospital. This is a scene from episode 466. It's taped on the 2nd of April 1968 and aired the 8th of April 1968. Now, if you look really carefully behind the telephone in the foreground, just past Barnabas's head, you'll see a coffee can, Savarin coffee can. It's a butt can, so this is definitely during rehearsal, and a lot of smoking was going on in those days. Okay, some of the dates noted in January of 1969. The full moon is on the 3rd. Frid feed-in on the 15th, and first annual graveyard picnic on the 25th. And in February, the full moon is noted to be on the 2nd, and on the 13th is Cloak and Dagger Day, and the 18th is Bloodsuckers Brunch. Next we have March and April of 1969, and this very evocative and moody shot of the coffin room, which could have been taken any time during 1967 or parts of 1968, but I'm voting for episode 350, in which Barnabas confronts both Julia and Carolyn in the coffin room as he is a very old man. In March, some of the dates marked. The 4th of March is the full moon. The 15th, the Ides of March, of course. The 16th, Bat Bite Day. The 26th, Wicked Witch Wednesday. And in April, now the 1st is April Ghoul's Day, of course. The 2nd is the full moon. The 6th is Easter Egg Haunt. And the 17th, Bat's Ball season begins. And here we are in May and June of 1969 with a photograph taken during rehearsal of episode 465, which was taped on April Fool's Day of 1968. Now in May, certain dates are marked, including the full moon on the 2nd. 4th is Spooky Sunday. The 20th, Used Coffin Sale. And the 30th is Memorial Day, which is kind of built in, I guess. In June, the 7th is Come As You Were Dinner Dance. 13th is Freaky Friday. How do you like that, huh? A little prescient there. The 25th is Dark Shadows Day on June 25th. And the 29th is Full Moon. I think I might have picked the 27th as Dark Shadows Day, actually, if it were me. But maybe Joanne Ellery was off by a couple of days. And here we have July and August 1969. And this photo is also from 465 as Barnabas is menacing Catherine Lee Scott as Maggie Evans in a scene that didn't actually happen on that day, but was set up as a sort of promotional shot with Barnabas as the vampire. In July, the dates: the 4th, the Froth of July. The 14th, Bastille Day, of course. Bat-Steel Day, actually. The 26th, semi-annual graveyard picnic. The 28th, the full moon, of course, always marked. And in August, the 9th is Miss Ideal Ghoul Beauty Contest. The 14th is Bloodthirsty Thursday. And the 27th, again, the full moon. And here we have September and October of our calendar for 1969, and we can see sort of a classic shot of the Eagle Hill Cemetery, a few of the graves. It looks like those graves are raised up, so this may have been taken on a day where they were having an open grave. Maybe Jeremiah was coming out of his grave or something else was going on. Not sure of the day of that one. I think that was just probably pulled from the files. And our dates of note in September include Werewolf Wednesday on the 10th, Living Dead Luau on the 20th, and on the 25th, a full moon. In October, the Barnabas Collins neck-biting contest will be held on the 7th, a full moon on the 25th, and of course, Halloween, one of those holidays that doesn't have to be made up for Dark Shadows. And here we have November and December, our final slot here on our 1969 calendar from the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club. This is a forlorn-looking shot of old Barnabas from episode, I believe it's 349 this time. Tape date for 349 is October 20th, 1967, and the air date was October 26th, 1967. In November, the dates of note are Blood Day, when you wear red on the 5th. 11th is Tombs Day, if you will. 28th is Fangsgiving. How about that, huh? Pretty cool. December 2nd, they've actually got Jonathan Frid's birthday listed here. 7th is Spider Sunday. The 23rd is a full moon. And Christmas Day is, of course, the 25th. And now here's a short clip from episode 349.
Vicky may never come to you of her own free will. You want her, and you'd be a fool not to get her. Now. Tonight.
And after all of that wonderful calendar, as an added bonus for Kit B, we have our ghoul marker, which depicts a drawing of Barnabas in a coffin. Now, so far, I think on our scale of cool to cheese, we're running really cool right now. So let's go on to Kit C. So let's read what the flyer has to say about Kit C. Fan Club. Join the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club. Get on the bat wagon now. When you become a charter member of the Dark Shadows Vampire Club, you will enjoy a new thrill in the supernatural. You will become an honorary Dark Shadows vampire and will be sent an oath certificate on parchment in your name. You will also receive the following: a letter from the Ghoul Master, an official Vampire Club card, vampire writing paper, photos of the Dark Shadows cast, the story of Collinwood, and pictures of the castle, 2 ghoul covers for your books. All this in a special Dark Shadows folder in black. Hurry, join now. Become part of the exciting Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club. Only $2.50 and 25 cents for rush handling, of course. And here appears our oath certificate with the emblazoned darkness and a bat over the top of it. It says, Dark Shadows Members Certificate. By the acceptance and signing of this parchment, I do hereby become a member of the Dark Shadows Vampire Club, entitled to all the benefits which befall a member upon joining such an organization. Signed, and then you put your own little signature there. Well, the second thing on our list for Kit C was a letter from the Ghoul Master. So here it is. It says, The Grapevine. And it says underneath, Dear member, I'm glad you decided to get on the bat wagon and join the one and only official Dark Shadows Vampire Club. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you. Welcome. It is always a pleasure to have new blood with us, especially when the blood is yours. By bloodthirsty demand, I have been gravely busy digging up photographs and information and putting together an ultra-spooky Dark Shadows kit for you. There are enough goodies to fill anyone's coffin. As a member of the Dark Shadows Vampire Club, you will undoubtedly become the most envied ghoul and vampire around your graveyard. Be sure to pass on the news to all of your creepy friends so that they can become members of the Dark Shadows Vampire Club. When enough people in your area have joined the club, you can have a chapter of your own. Write me now for further information about starting your own chapter. Remember, you must keep your Dark Shadows Vampire Club tombstone card with you at all times to save you from the horrible fangs of super vampires in your neighborhood. Don't forget to put on your oath certificate near a window by your bed in full view of the moon for extra protection at night. The time is late and the sun is rising, so I must rush to my crypt and creep into my satin-lined coffin. Yours in the neck, Joanne Ellery, Ghoulmaster. And here, of course, is your Dark Shadows Vampire Club card. Sign it, and it's officially approved by Joanne Ellery, your Ghoulmaster, so that you are a club member in good standing. Well, I don't know about the vampire writing paper they're talking about in Kit C, but they also mention photos of the Dark Shadows cast. And here are a few of those. There's Jonathan Frid from a 66-67 promotional shot. Right next to him is Lara Parker as Angelique from one of the 1795 storylines. That's a picture I've not seen anywhere else. Below that, Robert Rodin headshot. Picture of Nancy Barrett from the 589 group shot on the staircase. And then next to that is a nice yellow sheet with Louis Edmonds, probably from a 65 or 66 headshot. A classic Joan Bennett headshot next to that. Below that is a nice sort of brooding shot of Dawn Briscoe. And then a shot from the show itself, I would imagine, of Grayson Hall as Dr. Julia Hoffman. And finally, we have another sheet here that's sort of a slightly orange hue, and this is all headshots of Alexandra Isles, Roger Davis, Catherine Lee Scott, and Joel Crothers. Well, Kit C also promises the story of Collinwood, so here it is. 200 years ago, during the year of 1763, Joshua Collins was married. Being a newly married man, he had a strong desire to build a great house for his new wife, Naomi, and for the future of the Collins family. While living in what is now considered the old house, and being cramped for space with only a cellar laboratory, foyer, Josette's room, living room, and drawing room, Joshua Collins would spend most of his time, deep in thought, dreaming and planning for this larger house he wanted. In fact, he would make it a mansion. The mansion was to be located in Collinsport, Maine, and was to be called Collinwood. Finally, in 1796, after many, many years of intense planning and building, Collinwood became a reality. The mansion itself consists of a drawing room, foyer, west wing, tower room, study, and 5 bedrooms used now by Victoria Winters, Carolyn Stoddard, Elizabeth Stoddard, Roger Collins, and David Collins. Adjacent to this large mansion is located the mausoleum, with a secret room where Barnabas Collins slept for a long, long time. Almost 200 years old, the mansion Collinwood has both a past history and the history it's making now, quite the opposite from normal or average home life. Haunted by long-deceased relatives and acquaintances, the Collinwood mansion is constantly flooded with an array of spooks, varying from vampires, ghouls, and witches to a newly acquired villain, a werewolf. The physical surroundings of the mansion, the large estate, lend to the mysterious atmosphere. Collinwood sits on a high cliff overlooking the treacherous, jagged rocks and cold, dark, forbidding waters of the Atlantic. Around the mansion is a dense, dreary forest, passed through by only the bravest souls or other creatures. Nearby is the bat-infested graveyard, where flowers dare not grow. Over it all, as you know, hang the dark shadows. Now, the Kit C advertisement mentions pictures of the castle, and the closest thing I could come was this combination picture that also shows cast pictures, and here they are right here. You see the castle, the interior of Josette's room, the exterior of the house, and the coffin room, which is actually, well, it's not really in Collinwood, it's in the old house, isn't it? But there it is. And the ad in the flyer mentions 2 ghoul covers for your books, and I'm thinking this must be it. And these are pretty cool, actually. I mean, the drawing of the bat's a little bit on the cheese side, but the picture of Barnabas, which is also from episode 465, is pretty cool beans. And OMG, look at this black folder that all of this kit comes in, and this is cool by itself. I mean, this would be a kit by itself for me. That is a really cool little folder. Okay, we're coming down the home stretch. Here's Kit D, only 2 more kits to go. And on Kit D, the description reads, now you can put a vampire on all your books, letters, notes, etc. Ghouly vampire stickers in different colors, sizes, and designs. You'll be the envy of all your friends with these out-of-sight gummed stickers. In addition, you get 100 Frid is Fangier photo stamps. Plus, for a limited time, a supersized self-sticking Dark Shadows vampire sticker. Only $2.50. And the ever-present 25 cents for rush handling, of course. And these seem to be examples of some of the designs, cutouts, stickers, etc. that would be coming with this little kit. And as you can tell, we're more or less on the high cheese side with these particular designs, which look like they were fairly hastily put together with some of the more high quality pieces that are included in some of these kits. Finally, for Kit D, these Jonathan Frid, aka Barnabas Collins, stamp stickers. And this picture is actually from episode 589. A larger picture with him holding his cane exists and was used as a promotional photo for the Dark Shadows music LP back in 1969. And it is the same hair, if you look closely, that he wears in 589 on the staircase for the big group shot. And finally, Kit E, Ghoul Pad. Why not write a ghouly message to a strange friend on an eerie ghoul pad for spooky people? Each ghoul pad has 25 sheets, 150 in all, and comes in 2 sets. One has bats flying over a cemetery, and the other a ghostly half-man, half-bat. Ugh! Be a good ghoul and order yours now. Yours for just $2. And 25 cents for rush handling, if you really think you need to. And here's the first version of the ghoul pad with the cemetery. And here is the second classic version with the sort of half-man, half-bat. This particular ghoul pad was actually distributed to the Dark Shadows Studio 16 at 433 West 53rd Street. And as they used to say on all the old Ronco commercials, but wait, there's more! Special bonus offer. If you act now for a limited time only, you can have all 5 kits, A, B, C, D, E, for only $10. That's a lot of money for back in 1968-69. I can imagine kids trying to get their parents to give them $10. Special item with each combination group, a personally autographed to you, in quotations, 8x10 photo of Jonathan Frid as Barnabas. I suspect that's probably a facsimile autograph of some kind. Plus, exclusively yours, a personal message from Jonathan on a 33 1/3 RPM record. The record is only available with a special bonus offer. Also free, a giant-sized artist's drawing of Collinwood and special brush handling. Just imagine the impact of saving 25 cents over the expenditure of $10. And here's the giant-size artist's drawing of Collinwood, apparently with a vampire room right next to Victoria's room, which is quite interesting. There's a description beside it, and the description reads as follows. The Collinwood Mansion on ancient estate with a total of some 100 rooms is the setting for Dark Shadows. Only 20 rooms are presently occupied and are represented here. The remaining 80 in the haunted mansion would appear to the left of the represented mansion. Beneath the building is a wine cellar, typical of fashionable dwellings of the period, also a complex of passageways, many of which are closed off, as is the major part of the building. Part of the Collinwood mystery revolves around the fact that most of the passageways remain secret, making possible the exciting drama Dark Shadows. The mansion is also known to be haunted by spirits of the deceased Collins family members. And finally, at the end of our flyer is a little fill-in-the-blank sort of entry form that you can send in to Dark Shadows Kits, Department 1409, Beverly Hills, California, 90210. You can either get the bonus offer for the 10, or you can just ask for separate kits, and you put your name, address, city, state, and zip, and your age as well, and send off the little order form, and hopefully within a few weeks you get your kits back. Meantime, I'm going to let you all decide what's cheese and what's cool and what we've just talked about in terms of the general descriptions of all the kits. However, I've got something here that's really cool, and that is Jonathan Frid's special message for all those $10 kits. And here it is.
Hello, my dear friend. This is Jonathan Frid. I would like to thank you personally for having purchased this very special bonus package of all the Dark Shadows kits. In doing so, you have given me the opportunity of saying a few words to you. You know, playing the part of Barnabas Collins on Dark Shadows can be a very difficult job at times. There's so many lines to memorize every day, and I, as Barnabas, get so deeply involved with all the other characters that, well, I sometimes wonder when it's day and when it's night. And that can be a very dangerous situation for a vampire. Since I have been a part of the Dark Shadows cast, I have received literally hundreds of thousands of letters from all over the country. It is a genuine tribute to our show, and of course, a very personal pleasure for me. Unfortunately, I have not had the time to answer each and every letter, and I'm sure that you can understand that. I simply do not have the time anymore. And yet, I still continue to take a very personal interest in all the letters I receive. I can never forget that you have made me what I am, and for that, I shall always be deeply grateful. Dark Shadows has been my life's blood, if you'll pardon the expression. And I only wish that you could be in the studio with me every day while I rehearse and get into my makeup. But we know that is impossible. So please accept this personal message as your very own. And by the way, I hope that you thoroughly enjoy your Dark Shadows kits. Well, I must go now. I have to go downstairs and rehearse before the cameras for tomorrow's show. I do hope that you will be watching, because I shall be thinking of you and wondering how I shall be able to see you someday soon. Goodbye, my friend, and thank you.
Well, that was a piece of work, I must tell you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something new about the show, maybe made a few connections here and there. It's been a long day here at the Chris Jennings Memorial Hotel room at the Collinsport Inn, but a worthwhile one, I must say. And keep in mind, the B does stand for Barnabas and Bangor. But before I leave, I want to give you a little something here that I call I Bet You Didn't Know. First of all, let's take a look at a couple of pictures. So, for those of you who may not know, that's Gloria Stavers, editor-in-chief of 16 magazine, sitting with Alex Stevens, the werewolf from Dark Shadows. This photo was most likely taken during the taping of episode 699 on February 20th, 1969. If you think that's wild, look at this. Gloria actually kissing the werewolf. Pretty wild stuff. And just because I can, here's a picture from May of 1967, about the time that I was getting into Dark Shadows. That little guy on to the left is me at the age of 6, not quite 7. Behind me is my dad, who is still alive at 96 years old and doing very well. Next to him is my brother Larry, and then my brother Michael, and finally my mom on the far right. We're sitting on the sofa at my grandmother's house in Bangor. All right, folks, that's it for episode 3. Today's episode has been brought to you by ABC TV, Dan Curtis Productions, Promotions from 1968 and 1969. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, please go ahead and subscribe. Click me some likes, and I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks a lot.